Hello again. Those viewers in this country who have been congratulating themselves on having escaped the scourge of the multicultural society because they happen to live in some sleepy little village where the demographics have remained unchanged since the Norman conquest had better prepare themselves for a change. It has been noticed by those running the country that most refugees and asylum seekers tend to end up in big cities, and this is felt to be an undesirable state of affairs. A drive has been launched by Robert Jenrick, the immigration minister, to make things more fair, as he puts it, for rural areas, that is. When asked if he realised that Stoke-on-Trent was full up with asylum seekers, which it really is these days, he said, historically the issue was centred on cities, including Stoke-on-Trent. We are now seeking to procure accommodation more broadly in smaller cities, towns, and indeed in some cases in rural areas. That does mean, I am afraid, that as long as numbers are so high that more parts of the country experience this issue, but it does ensure greater fairness as to how, as a country, we tackle it. I love the way that this disaster is being described as experiencing this issue, and I also like his idea of greater fairness. This means that people who have lived quietly in the English countryside for generations, working, paying their taxes and minding their own business, are to have a load of unemployed foreigners dumped on their doorstep, whom they will be expected to fund through their taxes. What is fair about that? Here's another good example of what the government mean by greater fairness. In Wiltshire, there are over 8,000 people on the waiting list for a council house. These are people who wish to remain in the area where they were born, perhaps in order to stay close to their families and so on. 8,000. The county council in Wiltshire, though, are more concerned about Ukrainian refugees than they are about those people who have been waiting years for a council house. The leader of Wiltshire Council, Richard Cluer, says that the county's private rental market is broken. Well, that's almost certainly true. Duh! That's why you have so many people waiting for social housing in Wiltshire, you idiot. Because there's not enough affordable rented property for those who want it. He has come up with a cunning plan, though, which is to use the council-owned housing company, Stone Circle, to purchase up to 100 homes, which it can then lease back to Ukrainians for at least 3 years. He explains there will be some Ukraine nationals who face an uncertain future, and this is an issue we need to address. This shows such breathtaking contempt for the ordinary people of Wiltshire that it is a mystery to me why the local people do not do something about the leader of their council. Nothing can more clearly illustrate the problem with this country of ours than the attitudes of people like Robert Jenrick in central government and those in charge of local government like Richard Cluer. English people are in desperate need of homes, and yet those in authority are more concerned with being fair to various assaulted foreigners than they are to their own citizens. As usual, I give links to news items about these subjects in the description to this video. This then is the state of England today, when English people born and bred are sent to the back of the queue for everything from jobs in the civil service to social housing. I am, as perhaps I have remarked before, a great fan of Rudyard Kipling, and I am reminded with all this talk about the greater fairness, which apparently means that our countryside and villages will have to be trashed, of the poem Norman and Saxon by Kipling. I rather hope that it might indicate what is likely to happen in the future if we English are pushed too far by our masters. Allow me to quote a verse. The Saxon is not like us Normans, his manners are not so polite, but he never means anything serious till he talks about justice and right. When he stands like an ox in the furrow with his sullen set eyes on your own and grumbles, this isn't fair dealing, my son, leave the Saxon alone.